I hope that you see that this movement is not about partisan labels or purity tests, but it is about class solidarity. It's about the thousands of you who came out today to stand here together and say our lives deserve dignity and our work deserves respect, no matter who we are or where we come from, because we are here to make a sacred promise to one another. Our goal today is to commit to building the kind of country that we all deserve.
That was Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York speaking last month during her blockbuster Stop Oligarchy tour that she and Senator Bernie Sanders have been on across the country. The campaign-style rallies, which regularly draw tens of thousands of attendees, has sparked speculation about whether the 35-year-old Congresswoman might have her sights on higher office. Joining us now, co-founder and president of Run for Something, Amanda Litman. She's author of the new book titled When We're in Charge, The Next Generation's Guide to Leadership. And Amanda, congratulations on the book. Thank you for being here. Let's start, though, with this moment, this sort of moment that some people believe is of generational change, particularly for the Democrats, where we just came off an election where there was a lot of conversation about President Joe Biden and his age, and certainly Biden not alone in being an elder statesman or stateswoman of the Democratic Party. And there's been a push by some to say, look, it's time for younger officials like AOC to take center stage.
I think we have seen, both with President Biden, with Dianne Feinstein, with RBG, the dangers of older leaders staying in office too long, of refusing to give up power. Now, I think everyone is entitled to age and grow old with dignity and respect. No one is entitled to age as one of the 500 most powerful people in the country. And we are at a moment as the Democratic Party where we need to put our best possible messengers and fighters forward. And I think, generally speaking, most of those best messengers and best fighters right now are the younger leaders who know how to fight and who know how to communicate it in this moment.
So is there almost like, when you talk to Democrats, is there almost like a reflexive feeling among them to say, look, it's time, like, fair or not, and President Biden's record, very strong in many ways, but at the end, the conversation was simply about his age, and it feels like, here we are months later, they're still litigating that.
Totally. And I think overarchingly, and the thing that my organization Run for Something has been hearing from the 45,000 young people who've raised their hands to run for office just since the election, is that the folks who got us into this mess do not have the ability to get us out of it. So it's time to try someone or many someones new.
Amanda, you and I are friends, and I actually called you when I thought about running for office, as I think many people do.
Sure do.
It was not the right choice for me, but I'm wondering why it's so hard to get women, and I mean women and men, but really, I was trying to convince this woman to run for office recently, and why is it so hard to get women to run for office?
The structures of these institutions determines who is able to enter them. And for a long, long time, these institutions, Congress, but also city councils and school boards and library boards, were not always welcoming to women, especially younger women. I think that's starting to change. We're seeing policy shifts that allow people to use campaign funds for childcare or move the times of meetings to make it better fit for folks who, might not be full-time candidates or full-time politicians, but it's slow and it'll take time.
Ali Vitale is in Washington and has the next question.
Yeah, Amanda, you and I talked so frequently when I was writing my book. I'm so grateful for your time then, and I'm so thrilled with your book right now. You talk in this book a little bit about the catch-22s that still follow women, not just in elected roles, but who are trying to be leaders in whatever capacity they're trying to lead with. It can be as simple as adding too many exclamation points or putting a period and then seeming like you're being too curt. But can you talk a little bit about the ways that for this next generation of women leaders, things that are the same, things that are different, hopefully?
I think we're at this moment where the models of leadership are expanding exponentially because there are more women, more people of color, more LGBTQIA folks who are taking power. And what I write in When We're in Charge is how to integrate that, how to integrate your style of leadership with who you are, how to do it authentically and genuinely and humanely, but also effectively. Because I think there's a common misconception that to be an effective leader, you kind of have to be crappy to the people you lead. And I make the case, and I think I've seen that to be true, you don't have to be.
So we were just speaking of AOC, and she was involved in a tense exchange with Republican Congressman Randy Weber early Wednesday morning. The Texas Republican interrupted her while she was asking if women who have miscarriages would still meet the requirements to qualify for Medicaid under the GOP's proposed bill. Let's take a look.
All right. We'll yield to the gentlelady.
Thank you. In terms of some of the exemptions, pregnancy is covered, correct?
May I interrupt? I'm glad you're addressing us instead of speaking to the camera.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Given the Dobbs decision and the fact that many women in many states are forced to be carrying.
I'm going to have to stop. I'm going to reclaim my
Okay. What about miscarriage?
Thank you.
What about miscarriage?
I'm reclaiming my time. Thank you. I just want to make the point that we'd like for you to address the Republicans, and let's have a dialogue this way and not to a camera. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
You know, speaking of where we are addressing and who we are addressing, there are 13.7 million Americans on the other side of that screen right there. Hello? Hello. I'm talking to you because I work for you. And they deserve to see what is happening here. Because there are plenty of districts, including Republican ones, where 25% of your constituents are on Medicaid. 40% of your constituents are on Medicaid. And yes, I am
Will the gentlelady yield?
I am talking to them, and I will not yield because it was a terribly disrespectful comment, and I will not yield to disrespectful men. Thank you very much.
So the Congresswoman is a remarkable communicator. She's among the most talented of any generation. But it occurs to us that she does represent maybe a younger generation that's just simply better in this media landscape, knowing how to play to the cameras, knowing how to use social media and the like. Is that part of the ability to communicate, which is that part of what, say, Democrats need to do so differently going forward?
It's why we need next-gen leaders, because millennials and Gen Z, again, not exclusively, but generally speaking, because we have grown up on the internet, because we have always thought about how to cultivate a public persona, we understand, and as AOC did, understands you got to look in the camera. You got to talk to the people about what you're doing. And we see this in business. We see this in schools. We see this across all different kinds of sectors. Folks like AOC who are taking power show that they know how to do it differently and tell their story differently. And that's so important as we think about galvanizing people to take action.
Peter Baker.
Thank you for writing this book, and thank you for sharing it with us today. Talk a little bit about how to engage younger people, though. I have a 20-year-old son in college, and he says that his peers, they just couldn't care less about a lot of the things that we're talking about here, that they are very disengaged from modern politics. They're very disengaged from the news outside of their own experiences, that the media have not managed to engage them in an important way, that politicians have turned them off. What do you say? What's the path forward for the next generation of 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds to say, look, actually, this matters to you. You have a great deal at stake in here. How do we communicate with them differently?
No, I think this is a misconception of a lot of leaders of thinking it's about us. It's not. It's about them. For politicians, you got to talk about what your voters need. Why should they want you to win? Not why do you want to win? Like, I want to win because winning is great and losing sucks. The voters should want me to win because I'm going to deliver for them. And I think for especially younger voters, we got to be talking about the issues that directly affect their quality of life. Things like cost of housing, childcare, student loans. You know, it's cost of living stuff, but it's cost of living stuff that's affecting 20 and 30 somethings in a way that is totally different than maybe my grandparents might have experienced it.
The new book, When We're in Charge, the next generation's guide to leadership, it's on sale now. Author and co-founder and president of Run for Something, Amanda Littman. Congratulations. Thank you for being with us this morning.